So what's up, everyone, and welcome to the first Freedom Foods Farm podcast. We got Daniel and Rachel Rizza here from the Daniel Rizza YouTube channel, and we're going to tell them, we're going to get you guys to know them and see what they're doing and see what they're up to and see what they're all about. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So what part of the world are you guys from?
We live in the central,
This is an easy question.
the mid-Atlantic region. That's what I was trying to say. We're in Maryland.
We're in Maryland.
Okay.
So there's an eastern part, a central part, and a western part. We're like on the west part of the central part. We like to think that we're Western Maryland, but we're still more central.
Okay. So the weather there's pretty, it's kind of similar to, North Carolina, the South more than, you guys don't get too much snow, do you?
Yeah, it's a similar climate to the Smoky Mountains, the mountains of North Carolina. That zone's kind of the same as where we are up here.
So you guys got, is it a farm, homestead, ranch? What do you guys call it there?
We have a homestead.
Sometimes I call it a farm.
It's not a farm.
But it's less than an acre and a half.
Wow.
It's in a rural area. We've got houses around us, but there's no HOA or anything like that. So
that's good.
We got rid of our rooster because the neighbor didn't like him, So
what animals do you guys have there?
We have,
currently.
Then I can tell you what we have. I don't know how many we have. We have layers. We have chicks that we recently hatched that will add to our flock. And they are probably about 5 weeks old.
5 to 6 weeks old.
We have 3 pigs. And we also have 6 turkeys that we just got. We're doing turkeys for the very first time. So
cool.
Yeah.
All in less than an acre and a half?
Yeah, we and we also do meat birds, but we're done with that for the year. So
we raised 35-ish.
Yeah.
Ended up with 29.
Oh, that's a pretty good ratio. So you guys, what made you guys go down this road? Did you grow up doing this, or was this something that you guys just, wanted to do, or what's your guys' backstory?
I grew up having chickens.
Most people think that we're crazy.
Yeah, I grew up having chickens for eggs. As a kid, but we weren't like a farm family or anything like that. Rachel had no animals.
But you also grew up with a garden.
We grew up with a garden. My dad was a big gardener.
Yeah.
My memories of as a kid is, working the garden and not wanting to.
Yeah. We didn't have any of that, but yeah, I mean, I don't even know. People ask that question, how did it start? And it wasn't really necessarily one thing for us. It was kind of just maybe a slow progression that we started doing one thing and then that led to another and led to another, just like people say, oh, I'll just get a couple chickens, and then it leads to something else. But, I've always, considered myself a pretty healthy person and thought, oh, I'm doing all these things that are super healthy for my body. And, he follows Jocko Willink. I don't know if you guys know who he is.
Jocko Willink?
Yeah, military guy, right?
Yeah, his podcasts are pretty brutal and honest.
But he also has he's got several books, but he has one that's more like a coffee table type book and, different sections for things. But one section in the coffee table book said something like, eat this, don't eat this. And that kind of got our wheels spinning because there were things on that list of, eat or don't eat, and those are things that we were eating, and we're like, wait a minute, so this guy super in shape, really tough guy, and if he's saying this is good advice for food, then maybe we should kind of look into this. And our first reaction was like, well, I don't want to do that because that's hard to do, right? It's hard to change how you eat and what you're doing, and especially because I thought, hey, I ate a turkey sandwich for lunch and I have some iced tea, and I think that I'm being really healthy because that's what I was told, was something good to do. So, so that was, I think, kind of the first trigger for us that really sparked in our minds some changes with our food.
Yeah, I think we might have already had egg layer chickens at that point because we've had them for about 3 years now. That was kind of like an easy thing for us to do. Our neighbors just got some chickens, and I'm like, hey, we should get chickens. And so I kind of convinced Rachel to get some chickens with us, and then we had layers. And then I found
the book.
I was doing jiu-jitsu, so I was getting more in shape. And then I came across Justin Rhodes somehow. We already had the layers, and we found Justin Rhodes, and he started really opening up my eyes to the different things that we could do farming-wise. I never thought in a million years we'd be able to, kill chickens and raise pigs here in an acre and a half, But he showed us some of the things we could do and gave us the confidence to do so, by seeing him do it I'm like, hey, we could do that too. And then we also started going down the road of buying all that organic meat and stuff and raising it the way we wanted, or we couldn't find it fed soy free on the market, even at the farmers markets, so the only way that we could get it is if we did it ourselves.
Right.
So
yeah, I think it was kind of one of those things where everything happens for a reason. Like one thing happened and then something else happened, right? So you had found Justin Rhodes' channel, I think, because when you were building the chicken coop or whatever, you had some questions about that. So you started following him. And at that point in time, I wasn't really following, but I was doing a lot of reading. And so I read all these books. And once we had that coffee table book to kind of go off of, I just went down that rabbit hole.
List off some of the books you read.
So that's what I grabbed. The first one that I read, which is funny because we had this book on our bookshelf
for a while.
Someone had given it to Daniel to read years ago and he never picked it up. And then I kind of thumbed through it. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with, can you see this book, Michael Pollan?
Oh yeah.
In Defense of Food. So this was kind of my first really deep dive in, or maybe now I might not consider it a deep dive, but at the time it was. And you guys know, if you're familiar with Food Inc., right? So Michael Pollan is, not Food Inc., The Omnivore's Dilemma. Joel Salatin is in that book too. Anyway, so I read this book, In Defense of Food, and it was kind of eye-opening because I'm like, these are things that should be kind of like no-brainers, right? Like his list of things in this book are like, if there's more than 5 ingredients in something, we probably shouldn't be putting it in our bodies. If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't be putting it in your body.
That's
and then if it's something that your grandma wouldn't recognize, like Go-Gurt, and she'd be like, what's that? Then you probably shouldn't be putting it in your body. So I read this book and I just loved it. And, he probably got tired of me being like, we need to pay attention to this, right? So I'm ever so grateful, and we talk about this all the time, that we're both on this same journey together, because I can't imagine reading this, being so passionate about it, and my partner not wanting to like learn and do those things with me. That would just be really hard. If I have this information of things that I should and shouldn't put in my body, and I want to tell everybody about it, because if I went for so long not knowing it, there have to be other people that don't know it too, right? So I'm just thankful that we both want to be like, it's never ending, right? So I read this, and then that led to another book and another book and another book. And I feel like you're constantly learning, right? I can never know all of the information. And, there's debates about, what diets are the best or whatever. But bottom line, I feel like this is a great place to start for people. And this led me to another one that was recommended by a friend called Real Food. It's by Nina Plank. Same kind of principles, but she dug a little bit deeper, more into, every chapter was called Real Food. So every chapter was real something. So real fats, real meat, real dairy. This is what real food is. And so that was also really eye-opening and kind of helped us to make a lot of changes, but also those changes in our diet, again, led to more of the homestead kind of thing, because I guess.
So so last year was our first year with pigs, and the year before that, I was like, hey babe, we should get some pigs, and she's like, you're crazy, we're not getting pigs here, so
no, I don't think I said that. Well, I thought, go ahead, you finish.
She put the brakes on some of the things that I would push for, and I would put the brakes on her for some of the things she might be pushing for with the diet issues, but it was kind of good in a way, because maybe we weren't ready for pigs that first year, that I'm like, hey, let's do meat, birds, and pigs right now. No, we worked our way up to it, so now we have 3 pigs out there, and next year hopefully we'll do 10 somewhere else.
So your first, so you guys had the layered chickens. What was your next animal that you added?
Meat birds,
meat
right?
Birds. Yeah,
because it's so hard to think about how everything kind of happened. So we had the layers, and then we joined a CSA, right? So we joined a CSA, we got to know our local farmer, and I remember vividly having a conversation with a girlfriend at the gym, And because she was starting to do some of these things at home, and she mentioned the name Joel Salatin, and I said, well, who's that? Right. And she's like,
Uh-oh.
how do you not know who Joel Salatin is? Right. And so from that moment, right. So, you know, she was kind of name dropping, like, check out Joel Salatin, check out the Elliott homestead, check out this, like, as we were talking about potentially doing these meat birds. Right. And so that opened up a whole array of things, right? So you know, we were going to farmers markets, and okay, a bird from the farmers market raised the way that we want it to be raised now costs $25. That's a lot of money for a bird, right? So, well, if they can do it,
we can raise it for $15.
Why can't we do it, right?
So yeah, so we raised we did 70 something chickens that first year. We did 2 rounds because we don't have a whole lot of land, right? So you can put 75 chickens in one tractor, I see, right? You got a big field there. We don't have the big field, so we had to spread them out. And so we did 2 butcher days last year, and we had friends over, and we filled our freezer. In fact, we just finished up those birds a couple weeks ago, our last ones, the last year.
But also, we also know someone who does their own chickens. So before we got ours, he went and helped with the butchering process to be hands-on with that, so that when we got ours, he was prepared for that. Yeah. So it wasn't like, you know, we just learned from watching it on YouTube, right? He learned from someone and then was able to pass that on. And then since then, this past year, it was only our second year doing it, we then had friends come and learn from us. Right. And we don't know everything, right? But we know something, right? We can teach you something. And so they now will next year try to do meat birds themselves as well. So it's really cool. It's really exciting, you know.
Wow. So you guys had the meat birds for 1 year, and then you guys decided to jump in and do pigs.
Yeah. So,
I think we got that the same summer because
No.
We didn't?
No.
Yes, we did.
We did?
We had pigs last year and meat birds for the first time.
Okay, then we did. Yeah, because we got the meat birds like in March. You know, when
do you know yourself at all?
Yeah.
This is Daniel Rizza.
I'm all out.
We do nothing or all the things. So we did it. Yeah, I don't. And I also will say this, that before I started reading these things, you know, I remember him mentioning something about wanting to get a pig, right? And I thought to myself, why can't we just go to the grocery store and buy meat like normal people, right? And now I'm like, I don't want to be like the
anywhere near a grocery store.
I don't want to buy anything from a grocery store, you know? So I'm thankful that, like he said, we kind of tried to push each other with things, but it was kind of a good balance because I don't know that we would have been ready for that at that time, and mentally or physically prepared for that. So
tell me, you guys, about your experience with pigs, because I've never done that. I've only seen it on, you know, YouTube or on books and stuff. What's it like having a pig?
They say pigs are easier than cows, although we don't have cows yet. So it really depends on the breed. We've done it twice, and each time it's been a slightly different breed. They both had Berkshire mix, but this year's got a Pollan China. Last year it was a Yorkshire with it. And the Pollan China Berk mix they're real calm, real docile. They really respect the electric fence easily. We've had no pigs get out. Last year we had the pigs get out a couple of times, which is quite frustrating. So the only thing that could be an issue is when you go in there and they're kind of big. They're 200 plus pounds in the morning when they're hungry. Mm-hmm. They're pretty rough with you.
Around a little bit.
What I mean? Yeah. So like if you're a tiny little person, or if you had like 6 or 7 pigs, that might really be difficult to walk to their food pan.
But generally speaking, you give them food and they eat it and they grow big, and then that's it, right?
Yeah. You like load them up into the trailer, take them away, or kill them yourself.
Easy, you know.
Yeah, so that's one thing we did. We had 3 pigs last year. We sold 1.5 to friends, and we kept 1.5. They all went to the butcher last year because it was our first year. This year, since I found another friend of ours who does pig butchering on his own property, last winter I went to go help him kill a couple of pigs, and he offered to come help us kill a pig here on the farm. So this winter, you know, we have 3 pigs out there. 2 of them we're going to send to slaughter because we sold them to friends, but 1 we're going to kill here. And so I'm pretty excited about that. I think Rachel is too.
I'm a little intimidated by it, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I think like anything else, if you would have told me 2 years ago that we'd be like, we supply all of our own chicken. All of our pork down there is from us.
Yeah.
And if you would have told me that 2 years ago, I would have literally laughed in your face, you know. But now, before it was almost comical, you know, but now I'm really proud of that. And it wouldn't have been possible without him, to be honest. Like, I mean, I'm really proud of him and what he's done, you know, but I don't think we would have been able to do it without one another.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without your support either.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we bought half a cow, but everything else in the basement is our meat that we grew here.
Wow.
Yeah, we're like out of pork now, and we're kind of bummed out. We got to wait till like, you know, another month or so till we get bacon again.
Yeah.
But you know, I'd rather wait than go to the store and buy it.
Yeah.
You know, it's our bacon.
So are you guys selling pigs? Is it a business that you guys are going to turn into or grow?
I would love to do some more farming business. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the work that I do right now. I'd love to, you know, be more.
What do you do right now?
I'm a training consultant.
Okay.
You know, I've worked from home since 2014. I travel for work to client sites, but you know, I'm not traveling right now because of all the whatever going on. But I'd much rather be home and work with animals and do something a little different, you know.
If you were to do it as a bigger business, would you incorporate more meat birds or just strictly pigs, or how would you do it?
I don't really know. It would be on the animal side of things because you know, we've tried growing plants. We've had our most successful growing season this year with Rachel, but we're still having a hard time with that.
We live on a wooded lot. We have a lot of shade, and it's hard to grow things. Like, I wouldn't even say we have a garden. I have a lot of grow boxes. I tried on the deck, but it's you know, we're torn because do we let the chickens free range because that's what we want to do, but then they come up and, you know, they've eaten all the Brussels sprouts I planted out there and all my kale. So I mean, I guess they're turning them into eggs for us, but I like to see them out, right? Like, you know, Joel says the chickenness of a chicken. It's really fun to just watch them and see what they do.
You know, we've read most of Joel Salatin's books, not all of them yet. Rachel hasn't read the You Can Farm and the Successful Farm Business books yet. So I read those, and I'm interested in those.
I read the other ones and then tell him about it, and he reads the business side of it. I just like the animal side of it.
You know, and I'm trying to follow Joel's philosophy. One of his philosophies is like, you know, don't go buy the farm. You know, be smart about it and work your way in. And you know, that's how I'm viewing this now. Like last year we sold some pigs that we basically we made a little bit of profit, you know. Cool. We didn't cash flow. Well, I guess we did cash flow. We just took that cash and put it into our pig for us.
But that's not the main reason why we sold them, right? Like we made choices to sell them because we said, okay, well, you don't want to get one because it's nice for them to have a buddy, right? A pig can be by itself, but it's nice for them to have a buddy, right? And so we did the math, and it was cheaper to buy a ton of food, right? So you can't have we didn't need a ton of food for just 2 pigs, so we got 3 pigs, and that was more cost effective for us to get a third one and find a buyer for that, to do it that way. So, you know,
I put a video together last year about how much money we made with the pigs. And in that video, I broke down like, well, we made like $250 by selling 2 pigs, you know, but if we had 10 pigs, we would have made, you know, $1,000 or whatever the price was. I broke it down. So to me, I see the potential there. And so it excites me because, you know, that's a possibility of some sort of revenue income stream. You know, I don't see myself as being a pig farmer per se, but, you know, maybe if we did venture off into some, you know, having several different enterprises, which is kind of how Joel talks about it, you know, like figure out something, make it profitable, and then start working on something else, you know, and you know, scale up as you can, as you see fit. And so right now we're scaling with 3 pigs. 2 years so far, we've been successful with 3 pigs. You know, maybe next year we can be successful with 6, maybe. We'll see.
There you go. That's a good start, man. Well,
and that way, if we ever do end up on a larger property or something, then we'll have the experience, you know, of small scale before we move on.
So one of the main things, this is the last question before we cut it here, but one of the main things that people are afraid of is, you know, the time commitment that you have to dedicate to the animals, how to raise them and everything. So do me a favor. Can you guys take me through your day about how much you actually spend time with the animals, how much they actually need you, and see if it's something that will intimidate somebody, something that will keep them away. Like, for example, I'm not going to get a milk cow. It's too much work. There's no way that I'm doing that. So I saw that from Justin Rhodes, and there's just no way that I want to do that. So take me through you guys' at least your morning chores that you do with the animals to see if that's something that people can think that they can handle.
Can we go through a day that would have been a month ago, because then I was helping?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a teacher, and this virtual teaching stuff is consuming like every waking moment of my time. So Daniel has been doing the chores by himself in the morning, but
yeah, rewind a month ago when you had
so
the chickens and everything.
Yeah, it's, I mean, if it's the busiest in the summer, so that's one of the reasons why I look forward to the fall, is because the chore load decreases. You know, the pigs go away, the meat birds are gone.
Right. But we have said, if he wasn't working from home, then this would be, I wouldn't use the word impossible. It would be much more difficult.
It would be more difficult if you left the house every day.
So for the meat birds, right? We got them like right when I was done with school, right? So then it was easier for me to be hands-on, because the meat birds are here for 8 weeks, but it's pretty hands-on for 8 weeks.
They're high intensity, yeah.
So they need food all the time. So, you know, let's take out the first couple weeks when they're in the brooder, because it's less maintenance when they're in the brooder. But once they're outside, it's, you know, we're going out and refilling their food multiple times a day, because we found that they don't like it if it sits for a long time. So if you put a lot, for us at least, what we were feeding them, if a lot sat in there, then they were just going to leave it. So if we do a little bit, then they'll eat it all and put a little bit more, because they didn't really do the grazing thing. So,
yeah,
you know, we would, so he said a day of chores. So let's say meat birds were here. We would go out in the morning.
What time do you get out there at, you know, 6, 7, 8 o'clock?
No, 7:30, sometimes not too early. You know, I will go take care of the layers, toss some food. I mean, they're pretty self-sustainable, right? Depends on how many you have. So one of us would toss the food for the layers, make sure they have water, and then
one of us will walk over to feed the pigs. I got a bucket of food. We prepare the food out usually the night before, so it's in buckets.
There's always food ready to go, right?
Yeah.
So anytime we're done, you know, the buckets are kind of, one of us will refill them and put them back in their place. So when you go to do it, you're never having to go do that. It's always there. And then
the feed goes down for the meat bird. So if you're not doing any moving, you know, then the chore load is pretty simple.
30 minutes maybe.
Not even. I did a morning chore video, and I came back in. I'm like, that was 8 minutes of recording time, guys.
But that was together and with me watering, like putting water in all the grow boxes and watering the little garden area.
Yeah, when there was watering, that took a little more time.
So do you think if you had to do a move that day, you could do everything under an hour?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not if I was moving pigs and chickens, but if I was moving just one animal, definitely. Yeah,
well, because he found, and I agree, it was easier. So last year, the first year we did meat birds, we would move them in the morning. So we would wait to feed them, put the food down so they'd go where we wanted to be, because they'd go towards the food, and then move the fence around them. But we found it actually worked better at night, because then they're kind of like nestling down and, you know, easier to like move around, right? So yeah, because we did in the morning, we put the food down, they go to the food, but not always. You know, someone would wander off and you'd have to go get them, right? But in the nighttime, when they're ready to go to sleep, they kind of just hunker down and they'll let you pick them up, and it's real easy. So that was a learning curve for us, was that moving the fence at night was much faster and easier than it was during the day.
We have, you know, we're using electric fence and the meat shaw from Justin Rhodes. When I see like your setup with the chicken tractors, although they're quite heavy and bulky, I'd rather use a meat tractor. I'd rather use a chicken tractor, and just be a lot easier to have them in there. I might even wrap our electric fence around that still, but
we don't have the space for that.
We don't have the space for that. We would need a field to be able to move a tractor in a straight line, you know?
Yeah, it's not good. We
don't really have a big yard, so.
Yeah, so he's asking about time, because he's saying people are saying I don't have the time. So the morning chores,
15 minutes I'll be done with morning chores.
And that would include, if let's say 30 minutes if we were watering the garden, or 30 minutes if I went, you know, sometimes we take turns. If I go do it by myself, it would take me 30 minutes on my own to, you know, do all of that. What was I going to say? I don't know. And so the bigger things are saved for the weekend when we do have time, right? So the pigs get moved on the weekend, and I'll tell you, I don't clean the chicken coop out. He does it. I do
that once a week.
He does that every Saturday or every Sunday. So he does that, and it's not for during the week, because he just doesn't have the time. So he does it on the weekend.
But that job takes 15 minutes as well. Yeah. It's not a huge job. We have 15 chickens, so if it was 100
right.
chickens, it'd be a bigger job.
Yeah.
But
I mean, sometimes the last couple of weeks have been different because school has been quite stressful and time consuming for virtual learning for me lately. But, you know, if we go out there and do it together, you know, pretty quick. And sometimes, you know, he might like to sleep in for a little bit. Not often. Usually I'm the one sleeping a little bit
sometimes I
longer.
wake up and she's out doing all the chores, which is pretty sweet.
He wakes up and I'm done, or vice versa, you know. So,
but your question was about time and
can people do it
with regard to people doing things. So like we wouldn't suggest doing meat birds, layers, and pigs off the bat, you know. But if you start with one thing,
one at a time,
and you get one thing figured out, now you know, the layers are, you know, they're on autopilot. We know how to take care of them. They're easy. The meat birds, you know, they're high intensity, but they're 8 weeks, and we plan it out, and we know what we're doing. We know what we're getting ourselves into now because we've tried them once, and now that we know that we can handle the meat birds and the layers, well, let's throw the pigs in there too, you know. And
sort of like food stuff, right? So, you know, we read these books. We didn't just like flip our diet 100%, right? Yeah. Just do one thing at a time. That's all you can do. Okay,
That's the main thing that I've seen with people that don't do well with this is they try and do everything at the same time, and it just gets overwhelming. And you need to be good at one thing before you move on to the next. Yeah,
like if we bought a farm 2 years ago, that would have been a bad call, probably. You know what I mean? Like, let's do what we can with what we have, and then maybe we might be able to do something bigger one day. You know?
I mean, there are things that we wish that we could do. We just don't have the space. But I don't know.
But when you're using with what you have, and an acre and a half, a little less than that, that's a lot of animals, and that's a lot of food that you guys are getting off of there.
Right.
So,
but it's also taking turns, right? Like, right now we don't have meat birds. We have, you know, I guess the chores are a little bit more right now. Now there's 4 things to do. There's the pigs to feed, the layers to feed. We kind of have like a separate, because we have baby chicks and then the turkeys, right? But there's 6 turkeys, right? That's not that much work. But how many meat birds did we have last summer? And
35 and 45.
45. So listen, if he before COVID hit, right? He traveled not a lot, but like in spurts for work. So when he would go, he'd be gone for a week, sometimes 2 at a time. So if he can leave for work and I can feed 45 meat birds, move a fence. I moved that fence by myself once. There might have been tears, but I did it. Feed 3 pigs, take care of the layers and myself, then anybody can do it, right?
That's impressive. So you guys have gotten chickens. You guys are eating all your own chickens, all your own pork, and hopefully soon now all your own turkey for less than about an hour a day on average. And you guys enjoy it.
Absolutely,
right. Yeah. But think about too, the meat birds, it's an 8-week commitment. And the first couple weeks are simple because they're in a brooder. Okay. The turkeys, okay, we didn't start the turkeys from we didn't get them as chicks because, you know, Joel says they just like to die before they're 5 weeks old. So we have a farmer friend who we got them from, and he gets them at 5 weeks, and he's a farmer, right? So he added them onto his order for us, and if that's what he does, then that's good for us right now. So we got them at 5 weeks old to get past that they just want to die phase. And that's we really said next year we'll just maybe try it, right? That'll be like our one new thing next year is to try those from babies instead of getting them at 5 weeks, right? Because I've just heard that they're really hard to keep alive for the first 5 weeks. So we cheated a little bit. That's really
smart, though. Especially for someone just getting into turkeys. That's a great, just a great different alternative that I never even thought about.
Yeah, we've had them for about a week now. We love them.
What does Joel Winger say? Like, we're not going to get kicked out of the homestead community.
Yeah, if you go buy Tostitos, no one's going to kick you out of the homestead community. It's okay, you know.
That's a great saying. Well, with that, I think that's all the time we have for tonight. We want to make sure that everybody follows you guys on YouTube. You guys are putting up a video a week, right?
That's the plan, yeah.
Every Sunday. And how many videos are you planning on doing if you start traveling again? Is it still about a video a week that you're looking at?
Yeah, I'll be putting my goal is a video a week. Yeah, at least. And I want to do more, but I'm probably gonna need to wait till I get a little more time in my hands for that.
And he says I don't make the YouTube videos. I'm sometimes in them, but he's doing all that work. That's all him.
But the same thing that goes with you know, I can't do anything unless I get support from my wife, right? So if you know.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can do it.
So how do they find you on YouTube? You have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
YouTube is just my name,
you?
Daniel Rizza. I got an Instagram account. It's rizza.daniel. I don't know. I don't think they had my name available. But if they do, I'll change it back. I am on Facebook, but I'm on Facebook less and less now because it's insane. But I share my videos on groups that I find that are relevant there that I think help, and try to engage with folks that way.
Yeah. We'll leave links down in the description so people can go find you. So we're really looking forward to seeing what it turns into. Hopefully, maybe more pigs next year and baby turkeys. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for having us on your podcast. I'm looking forward
thank
to
you very much.
to the other ones you do.
Yeah, exactly. We'd like to bring you on at least this time next year, depending on how big this gets, how much this takes off, and see where you guys are at with the more pigs and more turkeys, and maybe even a little side pig business, which would be awesome.
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you for listening to our story.
No, it's a great one. Hopefully it inspires a few people that see this. So with that, thank you guys very much, and we'll see you on the next one, all right?
All right. Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye-bye.